I'm trying to think of how to word this and still be honest. Because as much as I do know, I don't know whether or not Obama is truly a Muslim. However, I do know some facts. Or as I've often said in other lectures and on my radio show, I don't know what's in his heart, but I know what's in his head. About his actions. He wears a wedding band that has Arabic on it.
Exactly.
Look it up on Google. You can see many pictures of it. Interestingly, he wore that wedding band on the other hand all through school. Ever before he met Michelle, he moved it and made it his wedding band when he got married. It's the call to prayer, or the it's the thank you. Who said that? Very good. The saying that you say when you accept Islam as your faith. That's what's written on his wedding band. That is a fact. We know that his first tour, his very first speech outside the United States, as soon as he was elected president, was in Cairo, the Muslim Brotherhood. At that time, the Muslim Brotherhood was not even allowed to be in Egypt. You still had Hosni Mubarak was the president, and the Muslim Brotherhood was outlawed. He insisted, he demanded that the Muslim Brotherhood be allowed to be present as he went on this apology tour throughout the Middle East.
Right.
He's done a lot of things. There is a YouTube video out there, which is really interesting. I'm not saying that it's necessarily true or false, because I don't know. And I wish I could remember the name of the guy who wrote it, but you can look it up. If you look up YouTube, if you look up Obama is a Saudi plant. And it was a YouTube video with a man who is a very famous Israeli writer who married a woman who was an Egyptian Jew. And she, like other Egyptians, was fluent in Arabic. And he was a reporter and an investigative writer. And she started to listen. One of the interesting things about living in Israel is you can listen to all the other countries' radio stations because you're in such a close proximity. It's a very small country. So she would listen to Saudi radio, Egyptian radio, Lebanese radio, Syrian radio, and she started hearing things about this person, Obama, before he ever even came on the scene in the United States. And that there was a conversation that took place where the Saudis were going to plant someone and groom them and make them president. And if you just look up, is Obama a Saudi plant or Saudi plant, you'll find it. And I cannot remember the guy's name, but he's after he came out with that video, he was torn apart, even in the Israeli press, as being a nut. Up until that time, he's got a dozen books, he's a scholar, he's brilliant, he's a great investigative reporter, but as soon as he started jumping on the bandwagon of, well, you're picking on Obama, you're a racist, all of a sudden he's crazy.
What did the Jewish community think when he tried to get the borders back to the 1967?
Unfortunately, most of your Jews are bleeding heart liberals. I'm the black sheep of my own family. I have not spoken to my brother and sister in years, with the exclusion of when my mom passed away at the funeral. They won't even talk to me. And that's how bad it is when it comes to Judaism. Because I'm a nut. I mean, I'm a conservative right-wing extremist.
Amen.
And thank you for that. And as I said, this shouldn't be that type of issue. I don't care if you're a Democrat or not. Facts are facts, and the danger is the danger, regardless of what you come from and what you believe in. I wish that everybody in the world could hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and we could all live in peace and harmony. Heck, I'd join the Democratic Party if that were going to happen. But unfortunately, that's not reality. That's not life. You're dealing with a people that have made statements that Islam should be the only accepted religion on earth, the Quran the only book accepted on earth. You mentioned something yourself about from within.
Absolutely.
That's a statement that Ahmed Omar, the founder of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, actually made. We were going to tear down their house by their miserable hands from within, referring to the government, referring to taking over the United States. Islam will be the only accepted religion in the world. This is the founder of CARE. That is the same organization that got everything over the last 10 years when it comes to anti-terrorism and national security, shredded, thrown away, and we had to start over.
Wiped out.
And I don't know if you know what I'm referring to. I had been asked by the FBI to teach a class at the Joint Terrorism Task Force in Quantico. And about 2 weeks later, I was told, I'm sorry, we have to rescind our offer. And it was right at the time when CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, was pressuring our administration. Here's what they finally decided. And this cracks me up. They'll be the first to tell you, hey, wait a minute, Muslims aren't terrorists. Why do you keep saying, not all Muslims are terrorists? But if you want to teach about terrorism, you have to be Islamic.
There you go.
If you're not a Muslim, you cannot teach the troops, you cannot teach people in the CIA, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, local law enforcement. If you are not from Islam, you have no right to speak about Islam. Now put that into perspective. If during World War II, we had made a rule that unless you were German, you couldn't teach our troops about Germany. Where would we be? Because I wouldn't be here. Or Japanese with the exactly. That is how far this political correctness has gone. So people like Dr. Walid Ferez, Claire Lopez, Brigitte Gabrielle, Steve Emerson, myself, all of us that used to speak out and teach troops and teach law enforcement, we're not allowed anymore because we're not Muslims. That's how ludicrous this is. But they went a step further and they took all the information that they had gathered over the last 10 years, all the training manuals, all the material was shredded and thrown away, and they started over. They took the words jihad, Muslim, Islamist, terror out of the vocabulary. How are you if you're a CIA analyst sitting in Washington, D.C., and you're going to write a report that's supposed to be filtered down to local law enforcement about a possible attack in Raleigh, let's say. How are you going to write that report if you can't mention Muslim male, jihadist, Islamist, terror?
It's crazy.
How can you even write the report? Oh, there's going to be a man-made catastrophe. This is what they've changed our vernacular and our vocabulary to. And people say, oh, it's just a word. Well, how many more words are they going to change?
Workplace violence.
This is what, absolutely. Major Nadal Hassan, workplace violence, perfect example.
If it was a Republican, if it was a Jew, or if it was a Christian, then they would say, a Christian.
That's terrible.
Oh, absolutely, that's terrorism.
That's exactly right.
Obama so wanted that Boston thing to be a right-wing radical.
I was hearing that it was a right-wing radical long before they finally announced who it really was. Did anybody watch the news?
Yep.
Did anybody watch the news? If you, and just for fun, if you ever want to have laughs and giggles, put on MSNBC.
Oh, yeah.
And watch what these people say when something like that happens. Because they were swearing it was a right-wing nut job, probably, and I'll quote, probably associated with the Tea Party.
Yeah, that's right.
Concerned about taxes.
I don't remember the last time I heard about, saw, or read about a Jew, a Christian, a Buddhist, or a Sikh strapping a bomb to himself and blowing people up in the name of his God.
That's right.
And that is what we need to remember. There have been well over 20,000 acts of terrorism, deadly acts of terrorism, since 9/11 worldwide, all in the name of Islam. This is not a few extremists.
That's right.
This is what they do because they're being good Muslims. And the only way, as I said, that we're going to defeat it, we think of things morally and ethically. We think of things, as I like to say, we look at them through Western eyes. You will never understand Islam if you continue to try and look at it that way. You come here once a week and hear your pastor speak, you're learning morals and ethics and faith and love. They don't get that.